Hello there, GM Lurch Lurchington here with another episode of Star Wars Showdown on Iceball Station. With me as usual are our players and their characters. We've got the Bendu as Narset Jinn,
Hellos and blessings.
Dan as Captain Worram of Ithor,
Hey everyone.
David as Master Xavix Silverstar,
Hey everyone.
and as always, our host Kyle as Zeef.
Hello there.
Gentlemen, if you're ready to roll Destiny, let's see if the Force is with us, and then begin.
Come on to Destiny.
2 lights from Zeef.
Yes.
Oh, your hands are warming up.
Finally, it only took 10 months.
And then Narset Jinn rolled the word Destiny. Do you want to Destiny roll instead, Narset?
What am I looking at?
You're looking at a failure with 2 threats and a dark side pip.
Oh, Jesus.
Right
That's cool.
Roll Destiny. Get a
sometimes
failure
I
with
just-
despair.
A dark side. Okay, 3 lights and 2 darks. The Force certainly is with us this evening. We return to Iceball, to the wind-swept
So enthused.
upper slopes of the volcano, where Narset Jinn has been journeying for a day and the beginning of another day now with the shaman of the Elder Xavix tribe. They've broken off from the path of the climb to head out across these ice fields towards the location that the shaman said that the Jedi 250 years ago had set up some sort of home for herself. She had made many return trips over the years after her master and she originally declared that the factory wasn't going to cause any problems here. Narset had a vision where she had expressed concern, and her master had said, the Force seemed in balance to him, and she had subsequently learned from the shaman that that Padawan had returned many times over the years. And you're now heading towards her former abode, out across these blinding white snowfields. You have caused a distortion in the storm that is usually raging across the top of the island using your magic and causing another eye in this storm to provide yourself with calm passage, and the snow that has fallen is blinding as it reflects the light of the sun through this calm area above you as you travel through the bitter cold over this slope away now from the volcanic peak and towards this hovel. As you do, the shaman warns you that as the mountain has cooled, the beasts that make their homes up here have grown more and more venturesome, and he tells you to be wary, and I'm going to need you to make a survival check for your journey here across the snowfields to make sure you don't draw any unwanted attention to yourself as you make your way there. Okay, the difficulty is going to be a red and a purple when you roll. A despairing failure, but with advantage. So, as you make your way across this ice sheet, you are unmolested, Narset Jinn. But as you begin to reach your destination, the shaman stops you with a claw on your arm and points ahead with his staff. You can see in the distance that across this relatively flat plain of snow, there are mounds, dunes of snow ahead, as if the blowing snow has piled up against some sort of structure or obstruction on this relatively flat plain. And around this mound, you see several of the lizard-like ice creatures. There are 3 of them. The shaman gestures and says, that is where our destination lies. And points towards the beasts. But you are far enough away at this point that you'll be able to approach and deal with the situation as you so choose. They're not directly on top of you, but they are directly on top of your destiny.
So there's 3 of them?
There are 3 of them, and I am spawning them into slide 52 right now. So they are sort of climbing around this snow pile that the shaman says buried underneath. The Jedi's abode lies there, buried under the ice. So from right now, because you can't see the structure, it is just a large, perhaps 30 feet high mound of snow in the middle of this relatively flat plain from where blowing snow has piled up and then frozen over time and just accreted over the outer side of this structure. There are 2 creatures basically at ground level off to one side, and the third is like on top of the ice mound. And they are the one on top appears to be basking in the sun that is coming through this eye of the storm that you've created, and the other 2 are sort of like investigating around the bottom of the pile.
If I were to old bend the situation and, like, you know, imitate the sound of a predator, get them to maybe, like, run away, what would that be?
You would have to do a knowledge check to identify what a predator of these beasts would be, and then you would do a coercion check to imitate said predator and scare them off by making them think they are threatened.
I feel like that might be survival, actually.
Survival would also work. I would either go with survival or a knowledge check to like know what that information, because it could be like an outer rim to know the planet, or like a xenology. There are a bunch of different. This game is fuzzy on knowledge checks, so there are a couple of different checks you could do to ID, how to scare these things off. But also, they are the largest like land predator that you've seen up on this. Like the Ravnaks are certainly larger, but they don't come up here. The shaman is just sort of waiting to see how you're going to deal with this situation. Also,
got you. So again, I don't even know if this would be an alter check necessarily, but like, what would it be if I wanted to make just a giant flare ball and just have some bright ass light distract them from off the distance, sort of thing?
That would be either influence, to directly influence the senses of a target creature, or mind trick to make them think that a thing that isn't is. There are 2 different force powers to influence the minds of others and like make them incorrectly sense things. Mind trick is verbal, and then the influence power creates images that others see. I think it's influence. It might be misdirect. It's misdirect. Influence makes people make fear checks.
I mean,
so there are a couple of different powers.
Could I make like some fireball in my hand and then like make a deception check? Or would it be the creatures making a deception check?
If you're trying to make them think something that isn't to scare them, you are making a coercion.
To scare them, to intrigue them, to leave the mound that they're on for them to go investigate.
So you're trying to entice them.
Yeah.
Disruption.
So you would want to use like misdirect again to like create a false image to draw them all. Any kind of force projection of images that are being seen. Like you could use misdirect to make your spaceship look like an asteroid, and then people looking at it would think it's that's the power that is set up to do that kind of stuff. Is the misdirect power? Yeah.
Okay.
Would you say, Dan? You're muted.
I was saying like maybe like some ice walls or something with alter.
Yeah, you could alter up some walls, or you could like melt.
Give yourself like a
mound
clear
of snow and
there, that they wouldn't be able to.
You have a lot of frozen ice that is on this structure that you could reshape in various ways, certainly, if you want to try to do it that way. I was just thinking you can melt all or blow all the snow off of it to like clear it, but yeah, you could reshape
maybe like tunnel
this
through the ice or something too. Like you might be able to do that.
Oh no! So with that in mind, then. So with that in mind, I'm gonna use Force Alter to much turn into Storm, and like you said, just have an influx of like snow and the wind change blow harsher towards the creatures, and
Okay.
then have the snow that they're laying
Start
on
coming
top
out
of
from under them
turn
and
into
join the
turn
storm.
into like jetting sharp ass spikes.
Okay, you're gonna
Like,
turn
sort
the
of-
terrain that they are on right now into like impassable terrain that they won't be able to be on, and they'll have to move out of where they are because you've made it so unpleasant. Go ahead and make that alter
Sweet.
check, baby. You're pretty far away because I stopped you before the despair was that they are like in your face. So you're gonna make your will check based on the fact that like they are over there where you are not in aggro range still. So you're gonna roll a force check with your will against 3 purples. All right. So off the bat, you have not succeeded. You have no successes, 2 advantages, and 3 dark side points. To activate alter at this range, you would need more than 3 pips, so you wouldn't be able to use one of those pips to turn your failure into a success because the 2 remaining pips would not be enough to activate alter and the range upgrade and the impassable terrain upgrade. So these things are just too far away for you to be able to summon it up. This aggressive act that you feel right now, you can feel the dark side rushing to your aid, but in this place it seems sufficient to your needs, and you're not able to create. The wind begins gusting in the direction of the creatures, but it loses its cohesion underneath this calm spot that you've created. You would have to let down your alteration of the storm entirely and just let it come back into this area out of your control if you wanted those winds.
I was just seeing if I was frozen.
No, Bendu is frozen in thought.
He's just thinking. Yeah.
He's meditating. He's meditating. Deciding whether to go evil Elsa or not.
I don't know. I mean, I guess I could just try to go invisible again.
And like stealth your way in.
'Cause I'm not feeling like fighting anything.
That's fine. I'm not trying to force you into a combat scenario by putting these creatures here. You know, I'm just trying to force you into a lateral thinking
Here's
situation.
an idea. Could you potentially like use the force to like make a snow peak fall and like crumble down in the distance that gets their attention and they rush off that way? Like
Sure.
make a mini avalanche like just far enough away to lead them off so you can safely go through the area.
Yes,
I mean, that's
while
kind
it
of
would
what I
have
was originally
required.
thinking before, with trying to like make them.
Right, but rather than affecting the weather
Right, I
itself,
was just not-
like do the equivalent of throwing a rock up in the Alps and
Yeah.
making, you know, like just do that with the force.
The way I was thinking about it is that you wanted to create some sort of illusion to draw them away, which would have required one of those mind-affecting force powers that I mentioned. But if you want to do it through purely physical means, you can absolutely like alter something to create a noise that is really there with the powers you have, while you don't have the powers to like create an image of something that's not there yet. You could certainly
What I wanted,
like I'm going to alter
what I
over there
wanted to
and
do
make...
was like just ventriloquist something.
Oh yeah, we can definitely do that. You just you don't have the ability to create false images yet. Exactly. That would be you can make another alter check now. You know, you didn't have any negative consequences come from this one. You just wanted to do your wind and you realized, oh, right, I'm shutting down the storm here if I try to create this huge gust of wind while also maintaining like a calm eye of this storm above me. It's not going to work out. But
what are you going to What are you going to attempt? Are you going to throw your voice, or are you going to try and do a rock slide thing to distract him?
Throw the voice.
Cool. Okay.
All right. You are going to make a deception check. The difficulty is going to be 2 purples.
Yeah. No.
Yes. So you fail, but with advantage. So you give out a call, and it does echo off of the mountain peak. One of the beasts looks up in that direction, but then resumes its investigation at the bottom of this pile in front of you, and advantageously, it does not make a move towards you. You've now rolled advantage on both of these unsuccessful checks, So the Xavix shaman is going to lean down towards you and say, "If the number of beasts causes you worry, young knight, you need not. Xavix has shown us how to deal with such creatures. I assure you, we can handle such as these." He looks like he's ready to, just wade in if you want to, but I know that that's not the way you're feeling. So we can always come away from this and give you some time to think about some more lateral alternatives, and we can turn our focus elsewhere for the moment, Bendu, if that's what you like to do.
Sure.
Okay, so we're going to leave Narset pondering these creatures and pull the camera eye away. But we're not going to swing all the way back over to Fishtown on the other side of the mountain. Instead, as we travel over the side of the volcano past the factory, we see one of the gondola cars coming up from the gaswork towards the main factory complex, following those pipes that are bringing the waste gases down to the power works along the bay. And in said gondola, we find Xavix Silverstar and Kolvar of the Expat Club heading up towards the factory at the rim of the volcano, because Worram's plan for the race involved flying some starfighters directly through said factory complex, and the Expat Club realizes they probably need the factory bosses to be on sides with this operation if they're going to set up their race right in the middle of the factory the day after tomorrow. So Kolvar and Xavix are heading up to check off this one last item on their list. Then all the boxes are checked, and they just have to put the racetrack together tomorrow so that the race can go the day after that. So we're going to come in on Xavix. Like, you're going to get the full tour, and shit's going to happen off camera, and then we'll come back to you.
What am I doing for this scene?
You're going to come in with Kolvar, and you're going to meet he's going to bring you in to meet the factory bosses. They're going to want to give you a full tour because you guys are part of the Expat Club, and you are relatively the second biggest fish on the planet. Xavix, you're between shifts again, so you and Kolvar have had this rather large gondola to yourself for the ride up. He's been pointing out some of the scenery, and generally being a better host than Rathamith was when you made this journey on your second day on the island with Narset. By the time you pull up into the gondola cradle up at just below the rim of the volcano at the factory, you're pulling into a wide catwalk that leads off into several of the buildings that are partially built outside and partially built directly into the side of the mountain. Kolvar has explained that, among other investments, the Expat Club has, since its inception, owned a small piece of stock in the factory. It was taken over pretty much in its entirety by the Hutt cartel from the mining guild 2 centuries ago, but at that time the Expat Club were allowed to hold on to their shares, and that's been part of the power balance between themselves and the Hutt cartel. So he feels you should be able to get whatever sort of concessions that you're going to need from the management at the end of your negotiations, since both parties are involved. But of course you guys should still play things as well as you could. He says, once we get up there, we'll play this like we're just trying to look in on the operation, and then once we get to the bigwigs, we'll ask what we need. They might have to shut down operation during the race if your plans for the track are to be executed faithfully, but we might have enough pull to be able to make that happen. It depends on what's going on in the larger galaxy and what sort of directives they've had from Vork through Spider since he's been gone. And then with a clang, the gondola dock in its cradle. From where you are, you can see workers moving back and forth along these gantries from building to building. A mix of the same Aqualesh and Gigorans that you've seen down in the city, but there are also Celestians and Mustafarians, which must be just miserable anywhere but in this factory, directly on the heat of the mountain. Once they leave this place and return to their abodes down in the city, they must be in absolute frozen hell, because these are, species that are native to volcanic planets. But the Hutts have apparently brought in a mix of workers who are either native to this environment or to the one they're going to be working in, but nobody who's suited to both because of that dichotomy. No one comes over to greet you, however. So Kolvar leads you into the main building and begins looking around for a foreman to find who can bring you to one of the officers of the factory.
Well, if no one's there to greet us, then I think that we'll get started on the tour ourselves. Someone will come to get us if we go into anything they don't want us to, and honestly, our time is pretty valuable. So I'm just going to start with walking around, not like snooping, but like getting a general feel, and eventually
you're strolling around the open areas and looking into what's going on. Yeah. Excellent. So you're in sort of the outer areas.
Oh, before you start, I do want to walk over towards where I would see. I'm on slide 3, by the way, just FYI, and I'm just want to walk over to where the race course would be, so I could view
the factory complex itself. Is slide 5.
Oh,
also, yeah. So you've come up on the gondola platform, and you can see the catwalks over to admin and whatnot. And you wanted to set up one of the race rings. And I'm going to put it onto that slide, basically directly above the caldera, in between those 3 pylons that are projecting their collection field. So they would have to shut down that collective field so that the starfighters would be able to fly through it and through that ring directly above that caldera. And you can see that from here.
Okay, cool.
It certainly looks like it will be, the most visually magnificent part of the race, provided that you can get it set up correctly. And Worram did a very good job when he made his roll that second morning to plan this race course. So you can see, it'll go right there. That your plan is doable, certainly. So you head in, instead of going directly into the admin building, because no one has come to greet you, and you're like, well, let's take a look around, and they'll find us. Kolvar leads you down the long catwalk towards the main refinery, and you enter into what is some sort of outloading area. In this place, there are the pumps and the changers for the massive pipes that are diverting either the refined Clauson 36 that is the product of this factory towards the large tanks that will store it and then divert it down to the landing platform where freighters can load up and take it away, or diverting the waste gases from the production down the other slope towards the gasworks on the bay. And there are massive pumps to keep those gases driven in those 2 directions in the first outer room of this factory that you enter. You see most of the workers in here appear to be technicians that are monitoring the machinery instead of doing any of the actual work of refining or any sort of mining or industrial sort of work in this factory. This is the last step of them putting their product, out to where it's going to be taken to market from here as you enter into the first.
Could I talk to one of the workers?
Yeah. Sure, absolutely. There is a Celestian gentleman who appears to be overseeing the guys who are actually monitoring the equipment. He's got a data pad, and as you make your way around the space, he finally notices you and Kolvar and the fine cut of your dress, and wanders over to inquire, Something I can do for you two gentlemen?
Well, hello. It's good to see you. Yes, we're here to inspect, or not inspect. We're here to take a look at the volcano area for the race course.
Race course. He seems a little confused about this and goes, haven't heard nothing about anything like that, but, well, if it deals with the rim itself, makes sense that it wouldn't have filtered down to me. Let me see if I can find a supervisor for you, sir. What was your name again? I don't think I caught it.
I'm Xavix Silverstar. I'm here with the wait, what's our thing called?
The Expat Club?
Yeah, the Expat Club. I'm here with the Expat Club.
All right, Mr. Silverbrand, I'll be right back. And he heads deeper into this chamber, over to one of the walls, punches a button in intercom panel, and speaks into it for a moment. He is drawn into a slightly longer conversation than you would think if he was just calling for somebody to come down. And then he wanders back over and he says, all right, Mr. Silverfish, they're expecting you over in the admin area. He points towards the wall that you entered via, but over towards the other corner where there is a hatchway that leads to an enclosed walkway from the refinery building over to the administrative structure. He goes, they'll be right through there, all the way up the stairs. Once you get into the second building, second office on the left.
I say thank you to him, and then I make my way up to the stairs.
All right. Kolvar follows. As you head through, you notice that there don't appear to be any security personnel around here. There's no armed guards or anything like that. But considering that the huts basically have the entire planet on lockdown, they're not. They control pretty much all of the in and out, and they don't really have anyone overlooking the factory specifically. Access is controlled by the two gondolas. They can lock down the stations, and it's pretty light here. You head through a fairly rickety, enclosed walkway that is just held via struts directly into the side of the volcano that winds its way around this steepest part of the slope just below the caldera to the administrative building, which is again fixed halfway into the mountain, but then has a tower rising up from the part that is outside of the volcano with a circular observation platform that can see down over the remainder of the slope. And as you follow the stairs up and up and up, it is into this tower that you find yourself. There's a hub in the center with a circular sort of hallway around it that is leading into one room is obviously some sort of command center, and then there are a few smaller offices flanking it, making up the rest of this observation area. And the main control center is manned. All of the consoles, have someone in attendance to them, and only one of the offices has someone waiting in it. And as you and Kolvar make your way towards that, a very thin Aqualesh who is wearing a set of sensorium goggles with display screens built into them and an elaborate headset microphone in front of his mouth. He is speaking in a low voice into this microphone and waves for you to come in. He rises to greet you and then finishes up his conversation before turning his attention to you gentlemen and standing as you enter the room. He says, Mr. Kolvar, I wasn't expecting you. And Kolvar says, yes, I wanted to introduce you to the newest member of our club. This is Mr. Silverstar. He is working on a project of ours with Spider that has been approved by Vork. A bit of a joint operation, a bit of an amusement for the workers here on Iceball, something that should bring money into all of our pockets. A bit of a race, if you get my meaning. The Aquash seems perplexed by all of this information and
I
says,
think what Kolvar is trying to say is, we'd wonder how much it would trouble you to be able to utilize your area for the racetrack.
he says, well, it depends entirely on what you mean, of course. But I understand that if you're in partnership with Vork on this, then we will certainly attempt to do whatever it is that you can, as long as it doesn't step on his tail in any way.
What can you do about shutting it down specifically while the racers are coming through? How much would a momentary shutdown cost?
Says it's not a matter of cost. You understand. At this point in our operation, the field is working equally as an encapsulation for the caldera as it is for a collector. As we have increased our production, of course, the volatile nature of the mountain itself has been accelerated. Our technology is well within its capabilities, keeping things inside safe margins, but we're no longer at a state where we can shut down the field.
What about ramping down production a little bit, just until we can handle that kind of shutdown?
Mr. Silverbrand, you have to understand, the volcano produces these fumes naturally. We have increased the volatile nature of the volcano itself to increase production. We can't ramp that down. The volcano will continue to grow towards a climactic event, and our fields are currently keeping it in its docile state. But were we to shut down the collector, I couldn't tell you what would happen next. I'm not a geologist. I'm a chemical scientist.
I think I know someone that might be able to handle this. Let's keep it on the back end, see if we can shut it down for now.
He says,
we don't have to, but I want the ability to do so.
He says, if you're trying to fly a ship through the field, it shouldn't be, well, we operate skimmers inside the field. They don't have complex avionics, but they're shielded and they have repulsor systems, so you might be able to do this without us shutting down at all. It depends, of course, on what sort of tech you've got.
I don't know if you shut it down and you have to fly through an exploding volcano. That would make for a pretty good race.
Yeah, I was going to say I kind of want to see that happen. To be honest,
Yeah.
What about making that part of the course set up with the same technology that the skimmers have?
He says, well, we've got the field set so that the repulsor drives on the skimmers aren't affected, and of course they need to be shielded because they operate directly above the surface of the volcano itself. However, I couldn't say that as the field is, it wouldn't affect the avionics of your racecraft. He's basically saying,
could we test the field with one of the racers?
yes, absolutely.
Then I'll bring someone up here and we can test it beforehand and see if we can fix this problem before the race starts, without having to shut it off completely.
He acknowledges that they're close to the end of business. It's approaching evening at this point because you guys went and raided the drug lab in the morning. And he goes, he wants more details about the race in general. And when he finds out that it's going to be the day after tomorrow, he's like, no, certainly, you need to bring someone up here tomorrow to test this. He goes, you're going to have to set up your course before the race anyway. Before you bring... He understands a little bit about Starship racing. He goes, if you're going to want to set up one of your checkpoint rings over this volcano, you're going to have to test that, and you're probably going to want to test the ships flying through the field tomorrow before the race goes the day after. That's a non-starter, basically.
Can I do a negotiations check with him and see if I can get him to work on it directly?
To do some work tonight?
Yeah. To stay over just
and
tonight,
to try to prep this and do some extra work to make it more successful. You can absolutely make him do a negotiations check to try to get a little bit more out of him, certainly. It is going to be a red and 2 purples to get him to do this, because he does have a point of discipline. You know, he's a professional, and you know, it might just be that this is like, you know, it's already set up how it can't be modified too much in one way or the other thing.
That's fine. Can I get a boost because we've mentioned that this is a joint operation between
you can absolutely, yes, you can definitely get a boost from that, because he's got pressure. Like, the boss has already signed off on this. It's not that he's going to say no because he won't do it. He's going to say no because he can't do it, kind of thing.
2 red,
you'll have a boost.
2 purples. Here we go.
Oh, it was only 1 red and 2 purples, but it doesn't matter because you have succeeded anyway. You would have had an advantage, nice. But with 3 successes, you know, he goes, honestly, a race would be a hell of a thing for us to host here. And having the factory involved directly, that's some Mongaza type shit, absolutely. He says him and some of the boys will stick around tonight and see what they can do to, you know, make this happen. Absolutely.
I have one more idea, if it would make sense. What do you say about rewarding the workers by turning this part of the race into not so much a stadium, but like a viewing area for themselves?
He goes, we can't shut down the fields, but we can certainly halt operations during your race, and I think that would be for the best from a safety standpoint anyway. We're not trying to lose any more workers than than what this dangerous operation already causes, you know, by its operation. Certainly.
Yeah, unless they OD on uncut glitter steam.
They've done it right. They have enough problems that they're not trying to cause extra problems. He goes, oh yeah, if you're going to be flying starships right through the factory, I'm going to have every one of my boys out on these catwalks watching from as close as possible. They're going to have a better seat than Vork himself.
Maybe. I mean, if this is the most exciting part of the race, why not have this be the big thing? Why not turn this into the
this is the last thing before like the final straightaway. So it really is like it's like the final turn basically, and then you go down into the city. So you're
2, 3. My goal was that they were actually going to hit this area twice, and
right? Because
so that they would be hitting this area once and then going straight up, doing a loop, and then entering back straight down into the thing as well.
Right. So they're gonna the numbers on here are for like my legend.
Slide 3 if you want to see it. Everybody else.
Yeah, on slide 3. The numbers on the thing aren't the order of the race course. No. They were for my legend of the thing. Right. It confused me for a second. But what the idea is, launch from that landing platform, go through 2 rings across the bay, cut around the island past the other Xavix, then go up over the ice field, through the factory, loop through the factory a second time, then come right down over the city, hit the bay again, and then the first ring becomes the midway point for the second lap. You do the whole thing a second time, and then hit that first ring for the final ring kind of thing. I fucking love it. I like that it's short enough that we're going to do 2 laps, because most races are multiple laps, but the way this game mechanic works, it designs races that are like multiple legs and only one go around the track kind of thing. I really think that the way the race is set up to do is going to be a banger. So good job actually making, like, I wouldn't have designed it differently. Like, you hit all the fucking spots that we've got, so that's good. And they'll go with that. So we are.
If one of these 3 racers rolls a despair during the actual race and crashes into one of like the containment field pylons in there and like destabilizes the whole factory, like millions dead on Iceball as a race went wrong.
This place
fucking kills Vork.
The fucking traps are like, finally, the factory is gone.
It's like a Hindenburg thing, and the Xavix are like, yes!
Narset Jinn has done it!
She is the chosen one!
Narset gets all the reputation merit for that, too, you know, kind of thing. The crab goddess!